Yes! Welcome to Z Reviews. And if you're a Patreon or subscriber, thank you for your support. You literally keep this channel going. So those are cubes. Those are FX audio cubes. The L07s and the terribly positioned DS07. And they've been around for a bit. In fact, I had them upstairs for a while. And they are affordable. So if you're like, Zeals, I need monoblocks in my life. $150 a piece. And the matching DAC module is $200. So you're looking at $500 total for these 3 bricks. And you're like, all right, Zeals. In monoblock, these are stereo amplifiers. You could buy just one and run it as stereo. In monoblock form, although I'm going to say 10% distortion first, 400 watts Class D, which is not nothing. In fact, the fact that I brought out the Klipsch RP600M Mark IIs and they are running properly upside down because I'm sitting on a ball and I'm a little bit low and there's actually a purple cushion under my butt too. It's very weird. This is where I want to be. I want to be looking forward. And I want to be here, not right side up. It's okay. This was a thing years ago. It's okay to put your speakers upside down. Try them right side up. And if the tweeter's up here, I'm not up here. I'm here. So flip them upside down. This is perfect. That said, these are very efficient speakers. And those are insanely powerful amplifiers at 8 ohms. This is 400 watts at 8 ohms, which I think these are. And so I now have 3 volume controls to deal with. Each of the L07s has their analog volume control in the front, which you have to set. There is no like switch to make it pass over the volume. And then I have this controlling the actual volume of the whole setup. So I'm about 54, 55 right now. And those are roughly 10:30, not quite 11, not quite 10:30. And Eric Serra's Noon from Lyon is very quiet and very delicate. Now, if we shuffle and we do this, that's from John Wick Chapter 4. You know, the bad ones. 3 and 4 I didn't vibe with. 1 is a goddamn classic, and I accepted 2, although adding bulletproof clothing made the movies worse. It just did, all right? It's all of a sudden we're not watching someone who's just, fuck it. And the TV show sucked. Great example. So, I'm having a re-listen to these speakers after like 2 years I'm sitting on the floor. And I don't think I ever used them in near field, so I'm just going to give a big fuck you shout out to the Klipsch RP600M Mark IIs because they absolutely are still worth their weight in gold, including their back connectors. We'll look at the back of everything here. So we'll start with the DAC because the amps are pretty easy to explain. And maybe we'll start with the amps. You know what? We're going to have a big loud thing. This is on this cosa. Here it comes. Oh, shh. Ooh. So, general rule of thumb with an amplifier. If I tell you 10% distortion at 400, you should be concerned. 10% is not good. Luckily, almost no passive speaker is going to need 400 watts. So even if at half that 200 watts output, which I think is what it'll do at 4 ohms in stereo also. Even if this 400 watt monoblock is running only 200 watts of power output, it's probably down to 1% or even less distortion. The only time it touches that insanely high 10% where the sound is completely fucking out of its mind is when you're hitting the absolute maximum volume output, which these, luckily, will never touch. If I put 400 watts into these, we all die. Everyone. It comes through the internet and destroys all of our souls. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That said, Eric Serra is just like, he must be paying for a sponsorship slot because Fifth Element's currently playing. This is Mina Hinu. And I'd love to play more music. And if you're a Patreon or subscriber, I do actually play music in the sound demos. So you can check those out once you're one of those. All right. Pick an amp, any amp, that one, because I'm right-hand dominant and that's why. So the back of this unit, first of all, we talk about the shape. I kind of love it. Most amplifiers are always going for most amps and DACs are all going for this flat thing, and you stack them up this way. And with this somehow just works better. You could have, look how much free space I have between things. I could shove this under there. I could lay it sideways if I want to have a little less height, but still have it be really compact. Same thing with the DAC, although the screen doesn't rotate. The screen should rotate on the DAC. That's an oversight they should have dealt with, because fucking BTR7 screen rotates in every goddamn direction. But it's cool to have something you could push this close together and have it be like, ooh, look at this matching set of things. So the back is line inputs. You get 2 XLRs, 2 RCAs. When you're using it in monoblock, you switch the switch down here. Danger of electricity. That's a great ad. From stereo to BTL. And then you have your main power bus switch. This will accept 100 or 240 volt. It is universal. And then when you're using it in the BTL mode, you get these 2 connectors, which are positive, negative. Otherwise, you have speaker left and speaker right. Now, that's the only switch in the back is, well, the only 2 switches are the main power bus and the stereo or BTL switch. The only switch on the front is the one labeled select, and that literally goes from balanced to unbalanced to balanced. And then this is just a volume knob. There's no pushing in it. It's just an analog thing. If I lower these both down and we hit play, which is playing, nothing's happening. I'm going to lower this down to like, I don't know, 69. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. But Zeos, don't forget to reverse the audio on this. He's not going to remember. He's an idiot. The future Zeos is always dumb. Remember, all our brain cells only die. They never regrow brain cells. So technically, when I'm downloading this camera and encoding it, I've lost at least one. So the problem with having individual volume controls on these and using this as a control is you have to set the volume controls. This is half good, half bad. Half bad because if I put this back to where it belongs, in this beautiful little... these are heavier, so they're actually sinking down into the yoga mat here more, and there's more wires pulling on this. So it's not quite perfect. I'd have to like get the Blue Tech out to squeeze that together. But because this is so insanely powerful, we're looking at an 800 watt stereo right here. Keep that in mind. And technically, I don't want to say, oh, it's 800 watt. Oh, Zeos is screaming numbers. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, if you're using it in a monoblock, the most you ever need out of it is maybe 200 watts. So still, a 200 watt per channel stereo is pretty fucking rare to find. And home theater receivers usually have shit amps. And these are definitely better than home theater receiver amplifiers. But, so we have these super efficient Klipsch RP600M Mark IIs, which I will be linking in the description. Don't forget to check out the review of those from years and years ago. And I got to set the volume here where I want, let's say 70. Put on Daft Punk, The Game of Love. And then if I can convert to mono, which I just happen to have a hotkey for, because trust me, you want mono as a thing for positioning and to figure out where your center is. Then you can just turn these knobs. And as you turn one, the sound will be like... In mono, it should be a dead center, everything. All vocals, all guitar riffs. Every time you hear a snare drum, should be dead center. And if it's not, if it's here, then that speaker's too loud or that speaker's too low, and then you adjust. So once you're in mono, you just go... And you pause it because copyright infringement, and I had to do that in 3 seconds. Are you happy? I'm not asking you. I'm asking the algorithm and the fucking YouTube robots if it's happy. All right, that sounds perfectly centered. We take it out of mono. We've set our dials. We're now going to control only with this. If I had these and this was on my desk and this is what I was doing, I'd get some gray tack, which is just the poster tack, and I'd wad it up on the bottom so that you literally can't turn the knob by accident. Because if you brush against it, you got to put it in mono and you got to do the thing when you figure it out again, and that's annoying. But I still rather have the volume knobs working than a bypass, because if I bypassed, here, ready? We're going to go down to 0 out of 100. I'm going to max out these 2 power amps. So they should be even now, technically. In fact, we're going to put it back in mono and we'll tell you exactly how even it is. Oh, Jesus, nothing is happening because it's paused. Ha, that could have been bad. That's actually centered. Both of them are maxed out. We're getting equal amounts of power to both. That's a good quality control check. Take it out of mono. And so now we're at 25 out of 100. And these are playing quite loudly. And this is not a quiet song. We can go to a couple other songs. Coma White from Marilyn Manson. Okay, that was 37. All right, 40. 40 is murder. Now, it does come with a remote control, so I can adjust the volume. But do you really want 60 more volume notches for your desk setup? No. Hell no. Holy fuck no. So what technically I would do is I would turn these all the way down, max this out to 100, and then go back to... I didn't put it in mono that time, but we're at fucking 9 o'clock. We're like, that's it. That's all the power these speakers will ever need. And then I can take it from 99 down to, let's say 62. And then that's my normal listening volume. Or I could push it up a little bit higher than that for quiet songs. Ideally, you'd find a quiet song and do that so that We Made You from, this is AC/DC, Maximum Overdrive. Favorite movie as a kid. So you find a quiet song, you figure out volumes, you understand it, right? Right? Control here, lock these in place, and then only control here. In fact, you could probably, these don't even generate that much heat since they're Class D. You could technically hide these. It would ruin the synergy of everything, of the triple cube. Gotta get a tape measure out, measure the millimeters. But once you set those, forget those. Unless you plug in a second source and you want to switch to the RCAs, because now RCAs would be playing. So if I had, I don't know, another topping DAC or something else for headphones, because this is specifically only a DAC with no headphone output. If you wanted a headphone output, maybe it's Class A, maybe it's a tube hybrid, you could run the RCAs into it, and then you can control with that, but you do have to physically manipulate the buttons on the front of the monoblocks. By the way, you can't get this mouse pad anymore. I'm very sad. And I am sitting very weirdly on this desk. I must look like a very short person. This. So this has the back of a pretty normal looking DAC. You get our analog outputs, XLRs, and RCAs. They're labeled L and R, actually pretty neatly. And then you get your power bus switch. Danger of electricity, do not disassemble. That makes more sense than just danger of electricity. You got a Bluetooth antenna. You get your USB input, full size, optical input, and coaxial digital input. Pretty basic. In fact, the website is szfxaudio.com. And I think it's also universal 100 to 240. That's it. By the way, SKW XLRs. A little bit stiff for my liking. I'd rather go with World's Best or Pasta and RI cables at princesspasta.audio. If you're up in Canada, put this right in the middle of her forehead. There you go. That's the, now we're talking. Now we're talking. So let's talk about the front of this because it has a remote. This is a universal remote for all their stuff. You have a DAC, an amp, and a player. The amps don't respond, like it's not going to turn the knob or anything. So you set it to DAC. I don't know what player is. EQ there's 3 filters. Well, filter 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't say what they are. Get the manual. Input is obviously the input, either the USB, the Bluetooth, the optical, or the coaxial digital. Coaxial, Bluetooth, USB, optical. Optical lights up green because it actually has a source. I kind of like that. And then you have next, last, which do nothing because there's nothing for it to do. Mute, which does work, and the screen does say mute. I have a complaint about this screen is that it's a little bit dull. I'm at the brightest it'll go, and it's very small. And if you were going to use a remote control, so here's the thing. Do you see the 0.0 dB on the Topping DX9? I do. But I don't see what the hell that goose start is saying, and I don't see what the hell this is saying. I mean, I can because I'm in real life, and you're just looking at like 2700K video. But the screen doesn't give me the information I really need, which on a DAC that's a preamp is fucking always the goddamn volume. Even if it temporarily turns that whole, whatever it is, 1 point something inch screen into the number so you could watch it change and then go back to this pretty display. Because the display, we have got filter, we've got output XLR, it says optical in green, it says PCM, which is our audio, it says 192 kilohertz, which is great. It's great to know. But then the volume is a bar, which the bar is more helpful than the number because the number is teeny tiny. Oh, look at the little number there. It's going up. Here's your infrared receiver port. Knob, obviously a digital volume. Press it in. You mute. Press and hold. We get into the menu, which I love how it uses a little music note. That's kind of adorable. It's like baby's first DAC. It's a nice piece to touch, though. I gotta say, I've got something. I'm turned on by cubes. That movie Hypercube. Go watch the movie Hypercube. So we go back into the menu again. You get your input, which is literally USB. You know what that is. You go down, Bluetooth rematch in case you need to fight your Bluetooth and have another rematch with it. You know what that does. The output, you only get to choose one or the other, not both, which is rare and bad. Bad because if you want to do XLR to speakers or monoblocks that, and then RCA out to a subwoofer, you can't. There needs to be an all functionality, and there isn't, so that's negative. It also gets out of that menu very fast. Your filter select, which is 1, 2, 3, or return, and then you get brightness, which is 100, 75, 50, 25, which this is pretty dull already. So, I mean, and then dimmer, how long the screen stays on, which is 15 seconds, 45 seconds, 5 minutes, or continued. A lot of Chinesium inside the menus of this. Like, continued is not a way I would ever say, like, constantly on or, like, never turn off. But they called it continued, so there you go. And then you have reset for everything and then return to the main thing. So that's it. So the volume is too small to read via the remote. You're better off just trying to get a glimpse of how thick your volume bar is, which honestly, that I kind of love. Because even from far away, I could see there's only that much volume versus that much volume versus that much volume. But as I'm changing it, I want big fucking projected onto the ceiling. I want 32. So I know when I hit play, it's quiet or it's fucking loud. So, quality of things. We have to talk about quality of things. Now, I used these amps upstairs in my great room on, what speakers were up there? I think they were the big triangles at the time. And it was hard to judge their quality because upstairs is a echoey nightmare where I wouldn't try to judge the fucking anything. A singer's voice is just because there's too much 26-foot ceilings and echo. In this basement is much, much better suited for judging audio quality. Please note that setup. And on these speakers, which I do know, the amplifiers are doing a bang-up job. They're linear, they're clean, they don't add warmth, they don't add anything. On a Class D, you have two choices. You make a good Class D that doesn't add anything, or you make a bad Class D that distorts because it's cheap. Now, the best Class Ds, like those LPS Orchard Audio monoblocks, which are like $7,000 a pair, those are the dumbest, cleanest, stupidest, fucking dumb, clean, stupid. So you pay the money to have like literally nothing added to the sound. And this is trying to do that, but like worse. So I wouldn't say it's a warm amp. I wouldn't say it's a sharp amp. It's not doing anything too bad as far as like treble. A lot of times Class D, people complain Class D is like, oh, it hurts. It adds a harshness to it, a granularness to the and I'm not picking up on that in the 2 or 3 speakers I've played these on. But this is the first time I'm playing them with their matching fucking DAC. So ignoring the amplifiers, saying they're damn good and good enough. And if you were doing like a home theater and you didn't want to get an Emotiva and you didn't want to get the Fosse stuff and you just wanted a rack of blocks, $150 a piece, go nuts. Especially since you could monoblock them to 400 fucking watts. And I'm going to say this and it might get me crucified in some circles. I don't care if there's 10% distortion on the explosions in my loud fucking movies. Because guess what? I mean, you don't want distortion to damage a speaker, obviously. But home theater drivers that are specifically home theater are usually pretty efficient, so you're probably not going to get up to that 400 anyway. But man, can you use the headroom when there is that fucking Mad Max scene at the beginning when the car drives over the top and it's like, so I would imagine like a solid 7 of these plus maybe another one used in stereo mode for like Atmos speakers like those guys would be phenomenal. The DAC is where we have to think about it, because now the DAC is $200. I've already complained about the screen and how it doesn't show the volume, but it has a remote and it controls volume and it matches these. I don't know if I would get this without those. I wouldn't be like, oh, get Valencia. Everyone needs to go out and spend $2,000 on the Orchard Audio Valencia headphone amplifier and then preamp it with this. I haven't done that yet, but I don't think it's going to add like a rich texture. Like there are DACs that actually, yes, it's 2025. Some DACs sound better than others. And I don't think this is one of those DACs. It's going to be like, oh man, the FX Audio. Have you heard it? Like and it's not a price thing, because the K11 R2R is a less than $200 DAC. And ooh, is that thing sweet. In fact, linked in the description, if you wanted to get just the blocks here and not this, you could replace this with a K11 R2R and then use the RCA outputs to this and go boop, and then you'd have probably a nicer sounding setup, but you'd lose the remote control functionality and Bluetooth functionality. I don't think there's no Bluetooth in the K11 R2R, is there? No. So I'm saying is, this is probably the weakest link amongst this setup. These monoblocks are impressive as hell. And this is adorable and matches. And if you just care about making your blocks match up with other blocks, hold on, I'm trying to do something cool. If this is your dream, then by all means, live your dream. I would not be upset to see people post this, with your multiple knobs and your matching front fascias. But you don't need to. In the world of speakers, and no one says, oh, you got clipped speakers? Do you have clipped speaker wires and clipped amps and clipped... No, you don't need that. Matching subs is a big fucking... I don't give a shit. Give me an HSU sub and give me clipped speakers and give me an Emotiva amp and give me Fosse thing. Mixing and matching is what makes like anything to do with speaker better. The fact that they're all silver doesn't matter. But I've never heard a one-stop shop of a brand that's like, oh, it's all perfect. It's all of it. Just get it all and you're done. You could always improve on one specific... I hate Swiss Army knives. My cousin's obsessed with a Swiss Army knife. And me, I'm like, yeah, that's a great Swiss Army knife. But now look at my just knife. Look at my just knife. Oh, need a bottle opener? Look at my just bottle opener. Yes, it's more clumsy to carry around a bunch of tools in your pocket, but every one of those individual tools will be perfectly honed to do its thing. So if you want monoblocks that are weird squares and fucking capable of headroom of up to 400 watts, you get the L07s. If you want a DAC that matches it just for aesthetic reasons, you get the DS07. What is that? Volume and menu. Okay. It's V/M, and then it's like arrow, and I'm like, VM? We're running a VM? We can't be running a VM. You're a DAC. So yeah, I'm going to give these a recommendation. I have a couple other, like I've got so many amplifiers in this house. I just wanted to do this one sort of here, set up, because it's a triple block. You got Jenny from the goddamn block. You could just like strap these together. It'd be... Oh my God, my mobile boombox. I just need to run. Never mind. It'll be 110 watt. Oh no, my purple cushion. Oh God, my audiophile ball. I think I have to end this review now because I'm standing. I ruined everything. So yeah, if you'd like, actually the website that sent me these is a new boy. He sent me these a while ago, and I feel bad for not like getting this review out in like the year since he sent them. This is hificollege.net, where they have it in black or in black. That's the only colors they offer. These in silver will be fucking sweet. So if you want to go click the links in the description, check out all the different specs. You know, on the packaging box, Good Time. The words indicate that the product belongs to the Good Time series of FX Fexing Audio. So get in line for a good time. If the depth thing bothers you, that's just, I can't help you on that. So yeah, let me minimize that again. Thank you to hificollege.net for sending these out a long time ago. I'm Zeos Pantera. Thank you for stopping by. If you'd like to support the channel, Patreon and Subscribestar, you get to see these reviews early, participate in yard sales, which from the 1st to the 10th of every month, unless it's later than the 1st and the 10th, I will sell things I don't need, probably all of this. Maybe in a bundle. I don't think I want to sell the amps and the DACs separately. I feel like this needs to be a family affair. And since it's only $500 retail, if you can grab that for like half the cost, you've made out like a bandit. But yeah, from the 1st to the 10th of every month, I sell IEMs and headphones and amps and DACs that I'm done reviewing. They help support the channel. For $7 a month, you get to that. You get to see the reviews early, you get to participate in yard sales, and you get to sound demos, which I set up good microphones and I record usually speakers, usually headphones. I wouldn't record the sound demo of an amplifier. And then for $15 a month, you get the behind-the-scenes private Telegram chat where you get to ask me any questions you want directly, because I don't really answer questions through Patreon on the $5 tier. There was just too many. It was hundreds a week. And I'm like, look, I got to put this behind a paywall or I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. And it's been like 10 years on Patreon and I haven't lost my mind. So thank you all the patrons who are in that tier and in that chat. They know who they are. You know who you are. And yeah, so other than that, if you want to check out my collabs, I have the Orchard Audio amplifier. I've got Magia cables for headphones. I got the Eris headphone. I got the Defiant IEM. I've got some other ones on the way, other headphones, other Fosse collabs maybe. Something that you could maybe integrate into anything if Fosse would get going on that thing, please. Oh, and all the wallpapers I've ever used are in the wallpaper hoard. Kokoro again, 2 today, 2 Kokoro wallpapers. So just go to the link and you'll get Resilio Sync, which is an application that syncs things using the torrent protocol. So every wallpaper I've ever used can be downloaded from every other person who's currently running it. There's like 2,900 people. So you get them like instantly. And then if you want to find the original artist, it's Sauce Now or IQDB to find them and go support them directly or find them on Twitter. So thank you everybody for stopping by. Thank you to HiFiCollege.net. And thank you for the little black boxes, which would be much more interesting if they were just colored orange, blue,